And we're on. This is the Sourceseeker Hour. I'm your host, Baruti Carl Alexander, dressed very, very comfortably because we're going to talk about sports. We're going to talk about sports, and we may have someone else come on, a couple other people come on. We had a couple of cancellations. We have an esteemed guest on the show to talk about sports. One is going to talk about positives, maybe. One is going to talk about the negatives. We're going to get right into it. Before I do that, I want them to introduce themselves. Brother Odis Lewis, can you introduce yourself?
My name's Odis Lewis. I've been knowing Carl since I was about second, third grade, I assume.
Who was your second grade teacher?
Oh, man. You know what? It was third grade because I was at Sunnyside in the second grade.
Okay.
I wasn't at law.
Was it, okay, was Miss Wagner your second grade teacher? Excuse me, third grade?
The only one I can remember is Miss McLemore and Miss Moore.
Okay, I remember you was in Miss Moore's sixth grade class.
There you go, exactly. I sure was.
All right, tell us a little bit about yourself. You're in Dallas, Texas now?
Well, I'm currently in Dallas, Texas, but I accepted a job in San Jose, California, which I report on the 17th of August. And I've been here about a year and 6 months or so, actually transferred back from Denver. But I've worked all over. I've worked in California, Colorado, Memphis, Tennessee, Charlotte, came back to Texas. Oh, man.
And you do have a strong background from sports, being a Love You Blue, Astros.
I love the Astros. I love the Oilers, the Astros. You know, I got my finger over the thing. But as far as sports, man, I was thinking that they should just go ahead and cancel sports this year.
You know that's a lot of money.
Yeah, but I mean, the money was made by people being in the stands, right? No,
it's really made by the television contracts, I think.
You think so?
Yeah, it's made by the television contracts.
I was watching the Astros last night, and I saw these posters in the stand. People paying like $100 or so to have a poster of them in the stand, and I said, "Wow, what times are we in?"
Yeah, it's a lot going on. I want to introduce the other guest. Dr.Veon, briefly introduce yourself so before we get into the story.
Great. My name is Veon McReynolds. I run a nonprofit called Tour de Hood in Third Ward, Texas. We also have a couple of other programs. We have Third Ward Bikes. We're working on bikes fiendishly because of the COVID and people actually getting out and participating in sports. And we also have another program called Third Ward Tours where we take people out in groups. So you can check us out on Facebook or on the web. The web is old, but Facebook is pretty live now. And so personally, myself, I just want to talk about my athleticism. So I've been an athlete since I was in the, I think, 8th grade. I wrestled, went to the state in wrestling in high school. I've been a bicycle racer for the past 30 years, placed in the nation, in the top 10 in the nation and top 10 in the world in track cycling.
All right.
My background.
Thank you, brother. We're going to get into it in a second. I would like to introduce the founder and the CEO of Diversity Clothing, the powerful Adonnis Alexander. Thank you, sir. Introduce yourself, please. Unmute yourself. Well, we'll get to him in a second. This is the Sourceseeker Hour. Everybody, this is our 50th episode. This is our 50th episode. Thank you very much. We've been steady with it. We've been keeping going, and we're going to keep going to better things. Brother Donnie, are you ready?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Everybody, this is Brother Adonnis Alexander, the CEO of Diversity Clothing. Tell us about yourself.
Hey, how's it going, guys? My name is Adonnis. I own Diversity Clothing Company. I'm a born and raised Houstonian, and growing up, the clothing line that I have is something that I always wanted to see for the city of Houston. So instead of looking for it, I decided to create it. So I created it to be like the official, unofficial clothing line of Houston that focuses on the cultural side of Houston, but also anything that's important to the city, especially things that may be unknown to the national media. So that includes the sports teams, what's going on with the sports team. It includes the different cultures, and just it also includes things that you would just feel comfortable wearing anywhere. You know, it's very simple, very unique, very timeless, and something that you'd even want to bring in your suitcase when you're traveling abroad as well.
Oh, thank you, brother. I have an important question for you. Are you aware of 35 to 3?
Is that the,
OD, did you know what I'm talking about?
I'm not familiar with that.
Huh?
I'm not
35 to 3. The Oilers were up 35 to 3, and they lost.
Now you got me. Now I'm depressed.
Well, I got a story about that.
Hey,
thanks, Carl.
That is, I know I'm dating myself. See, that young brother's a little bit too young to even know about that.
Well, I digress. Now, the reason why I know about this is because I had to watch the agony on my father's face when he was watching it, and I knew it must have been bad. And so it's really it's something that stayed with me too, because I remember Warren Moon had about 400 yards passing in that first half, and then instead of running the ball, they tried to air it out and totally let them back in the ball game. So yeah, I remember that, and let me tell you, when the Texans were up 24-0 on the Kansas City Chiefs, I was doing an event with my business, and it was at a bar in the Heights, and everybody was drinking the tea, and I was telling them, hey, I remember what year was it, 91 or 93? I remember 93. So I wasn't going, unless I see the final score, I'll never think that a Houston football team is going to take it to that next step.
I just say this. I know a little bit. One second, OD. I know a little bit about your father. I know a little bit about him, so I know how agonized he was. OD, I'm sorry, brother. I'm sorry I made you depressed thinking back on that.
Yeah, man. You know, the rest of my day going. I need 2 or 3 more beers after hearing that information.
Hey, OD, if they had won that game, we'd have never heard about the Texans. Isn't that true?
No. All those would have still been in Houston. You're right.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I want to take it to this. You said, OD, that the season probably should be canceled, but the American culture is majorly based upon sports. Would you agree with that?
Well, you know, it's part of our culture. You know, I love baseball. I played baseball. You remember baseball at Cloverland Park?
All the time.
Yeah. So, you know, I've been a part of this sport for in my entire life. But as far as human lives are concerned, I think we need to stop everything as much as we can until this virus gets under control.
I think the argument they're making is that they're trying to save the whole culture and psyche of America. I mean, I'm not sure it's all caught up together, but it's a good argument for that. Veon, I know you want to say something.
Thank you very much. You know, let's look at the sport. One of the things, first of all, what does sport do? The reason why we have professional sports is the money that's associated with sports. Well, early in the days when cycling was really big, it was not about so much the cycling, it was about the betting, the pari-mutuel betting on the track cyclists. The same as in Japan. So it's the money that's associated with the advertising, the sale of equipment, the endorsements. That's what professional sports generally is really about. No, they're really athletes. I'm not saying that they're not athletes. They're definitely, number one athletes, but it's all about making money.
Of course it is. This is a country of the money, by the money, and for the money is basically in our Constitution and DNA. So everything is going to have a money angle. So I go back to what I said earlier. The American culture sports is deeply based upon the American culture and how everything goes. OD, what do you? Oh, I'm sorry, brother. You had something to say about that?
Oh, I'm back here. Yeah, we're deep rooted in this culture because I've been an athlete. My father is a Texas Sports Hall of Famer in track and field from Jack Yates, and he's well known. And you can look that up. Jack Yates, Prairie View, and we both went, Prairie View.
Yes, sir.
So, and that's where I ended up with my DNA, playing the game of football and running track. But I think that this is bigger than sports right now, Carl. This is bigger than sports. I've lost 4 people due to COVID, personal friends. So it really hit home with me. So I can wait. I can wait to see baseball, football, basketball, track, and next year. It's kind of like when was the Spanish flu? 1918. What year was that?
Well, say again. What's the
Spanish
question?
flu.
Oh yeah, Spanish flu, 1918. Yes.
1918. So we've been here before, right? So we just need to sit back, let this thing take its course. But I'm not sure if this virus is mutating, and it's something that's bigger than what we really think it is. So we can't go to the games. I used to love going to the baseball games, the football games, track meets. I can't do that anymore. Watching it on TV with these fabricated sounds and crowd noises, it's not the same. It's not the same for me.
I hear you. NBA is starting right now. I was just looking at the pregame, and they trying to work it out. Now, there's a whole lot of black brothers and sisters that are helped by sports and always has been. That's how a large portion of our community become super upwardly mobile. And, so we'll be affected if they cancel sports. But I go back to the thing about the psyche and what it does to our mind, competition, and what that teaches and how that's embedded in our society. And is it worth canceling when you put all of that together? I mean, are they going to have to end up canceling baseball anyway? 19 Florida Marlins came up with the COVID virus.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
are they delaying the inevitable? What you say about that, Donnie?
I think it's they definitely have to be considering it after that happens, because the only way you really get past that is they're probably going to have to do like a double header on one of those days. They're already kind of reshuffling their schedule in order to kind of give them time to get back from that. But the only league I was really impressed with about how they handled it was really the NBA. The way they made the bubble, how they had a plan. From what I heard, it was like over 100 pages long. The way they actually put money into it to where you're not just having the guys playing the game inside of a bubble, but you got different camera views that you probably didn't have before that makes it a little bit more appealing to the person looking at home. And I'm one of those that's always felt like sports is kind of an extension of the people, of the city. We kind of live through them. They're doing what we can't do, and they're representing for us in a way. Just going back to like, your middle school and high school, and you have the pep rally and all, and you kind of getting behind those who are bigger, stronger, can kind of do those things that you can't do. So yeah, I feel like, and I also have like a little slightly, just something I was just thinking about, a little slightly different take. I feel like you can kind of tell since production on a lot of things has stopped, like as far as there haven't really been any new movies, none of that. Netflix probably puts out a few things here and there that they already had made, but production things to actually watch at home, they kind of running out. And part of what is supposed to kind of stop the virus is people staying home. Well, would it help if they had something to keep them at home, something to watch, and something like what the NBA is doing, where they have a protected bubble, but they can bring you that product to kind of give people a reason to stay home even more so.
I agree. It's both sides, because if you got to stay home, you don't want to go crazy, have nothing to do. Like they said, domestic violence is up. All the different things that happen when people are stuck in a rut at home. So that's difficult. Let me ask this question. Since the NBA is starting, who's going to win?
The Rockets.
Odis, who you think going to win?
The Rockets.
For most of the people in the United States, it doesn't matter who wins the game. Their life is basically going to be the same unless they have some money bet on the game. Otherwise, everything for them is basically going to be the same, except they can talk and fantasize about what could have happened, what would have happened. Again, what we need to focus on is essential things like now. Like the brother was saying, maybe they should cancel the sport. What would happen if we took the testing and the bubble and all that technology that's going into producing sports? Supposing we took that to the people in Arizona or the people right down here on the border that need some help. Why can't we help those people with that money? Why can't they get a test every hour, every day?
If I may cut in, brother, because everybody don't want to. And there's people that want to watch sports and want to put their money behind it. You got billionaires and millionaires that's their plaything. And so just like when you're dealing with the high-end politicians and so forth. Now, if I can, I'm going to come back to you. Odis, who's going to win the NBA?
Well, first I'm going to say you can't watch a sports game from the graveyard.
Yes, sir.
Now, there you go.
Second, I'm a Rocket fan, so, I'm going with my Rockets, man.
Lord. Adonnis, who you going for?
Man, oh, man.
You better not say the Lakers.
I think, see, I've always thought of myself as an honest person, and I'm a homer of homers. I like my Rockets too. Akeem Olajuwon is my greatest player of all time, hands down.
There you go.
I feel like in the West, I'm not going to give a simple answer here. I feel like in the West, I feel like the Rockets can always beat anybody, especially outside of the two teams in LA. So outside of the two teams in LA, I'll take the Rockets in the series against any of those other teams, Utah, Denver, any of those teams. I think the Rockets can beat either one of those.
Let me tell both of y'all are crazy. The reason you're crazy because you got PJ Tucker 6'5" as center, and in a playoff series, he's going to be totally outmatched. They got rid of Clint Capella, but Clint Capella had the foot injury, and they didn't really publicize that. So that's why they really didn't get that much for him. However, you had to have some secondary thing. You can't have PJ Tucker at 6'5" and asking to play center for 7 games in a 7-game series.
Yeah, we heard no hype.
Well, let me add to that, because I don't think it's that simple. Just because what if you have a player that goes out during the playoffs before coronavirus? What if that player is LeBron James, or Paul George or Kawhi Leonard? And so I feel like the Rockets have a puncher's chance. But you got to understand too, the Clippers, the Rockets will probably play the Clippers in the second round, if anything. The Lakers wouldn't even be to maybe the Western Conference Finals. So they can be either one of those teams, but I think it'll probably end up being the 2 LA teams. But I'm thinking maybe it's the years the Milwaukee Bucks actually break through in the East.
They still have a chance.
I will say the championship is going to be the Lakers and the Milwaukee Bucks. But Toronto still has an outside chance because they got a good team, they got experience, and Pascual Siakam is playing all-star status. He was before the break. Other things to look at is, hey, Oklahoma City, they can catch fire, but I mean Denver with Bol and they're they have depth. They have depth. They have great depth. But the biggest thing I think is who's going to go out with coronavirus. So we'll see. We'll see. Now, Veon, you don't like any of this playoff talk. I understand that. What should we be doing besides looking at the playoffs?
It's very interesting. I was just, listening to you talk about, your extensive knowledge of the whole system of that particular area of professional sports. And I was wondering if you put that energy into, analyzing the food that you ate, or, trying to help the kids.
Who said I can't do two things?
Or, pardon?
Who said I can't? Why can't I analyze basketball and analyze other things at the same time?
I'm saying the energy that you do put in, then you have some more that you could put out, because what I'm focused on is the essential things that we need. One of the things that we definitely need is to change our society. Rather than sitting down, eating popcorn, drinking beer, and watching sports, it might be better to go out and actually participate, do some bike riding, do some walking, do something yourself. Go out and pretend like you're playing football like you used to do a long time ago. But because most people haven't done that, they can't run to the corner. So, I'm suggesting that people get out and use their time better, especially now that we see that, the essential things are those that count. And they could go out and build a garden. That would be the best thing.
I just want to say this. When I played in the Southeast Little League, I ran a touchdown for 72 yards. I was fast. Yes, I was fast back then. Yes.
Yeah, that's what.
Hey,
but I was the backup and all that stuff. But that was okay.
Who did you play for in Southeast?
Sir?
Who did you play for in Southeast?
The Purple Cowboys.
The Purple Cowboy. Okay. I played for the
Purple
Dolphins.
Cowboys. Let me go into this though. Hold on. See, what I'm talking about, Dr. Veon, is the psyche. You said sitting at home in front of the TV, eating beer and popcorn, and drinking beer and popcorn. Hold on, Dr. Veon. But see, a part of our psyche is built up into that, and our economy. People buying shirts, people buying cookout grilling stuff to grill on the weekend. Hold on, Dr. Veon. Hold on. Let me finish. What I'm saying is, and sometimes it gives people something to root for when other things in their life are going bad. It gives people something to root for when other things, it's a diversion. It's something to take you, like a great movie. It can take you away. You can get caught up into watching the sport, that it can take you away from the reality of all the problems that you have for a little while. And it works like that. Dr. Veon, come back real quick. Talk to me.
Yeah, that's one of the problems that we have, is we don't want to face reality. We have a leader, our national leader, that does not want to face reality. And what we are doing is falling into that trap and thinking that that's the type of society that we need to live in. We fall into the trap of allowing them to pollute our rivers, to pollute our air, water, food, everything, and just because that's the way things have been, and that's what promotes the economy. We need to change the way we think and change the way we live. Don't watch that game, plant a garden.
Okay, now we're finna go into a different, you said change that process, change that system. Now, you got Black Lives Matter on the court. You got the NBA ladies saying, we ain't gonna play if this bad owner is a part of it. So you got a lot of action going on. Bubba Wallace in NASCAR said Black Lives Matter. NASCAR's never had, as far as I know, a black anything. So it's a whole lot changing. What do you believe is going to be the result of these kinds of changes? Donnie, what you think?
You definitely can sense that there's been a lot of change, that you've actually seen a lot of change happen already. I would have never have thought you would have had something like that on the basketball court. I would have never thought NASCAR would have gotten rid of the Confederate flag like they've done. So it looks like a lot of what was wanting to happen by a lot of people of color about change, because of things that kind of fell out from the George Floyd incident, kind of started to take place. And you kind of see that. It looks like a lot of people are more mindful about that. And to me personally, I feel like you can see the most change in the fact that when you see those that are standing up for that change, it's more than just us. You see a lot of different races that are included in that. And I feel like that's where the real change actually happens, where it's not just you by yourself, others see the value in that as well.
Okay, Odis, what you think on that?
Ooh, man, the early 1800s, Black lives got here as a slave, and they didn't matter. And we still talking about Black Lives Matter in 2020. So, you know, I'm just confused. Why is it taking so long for Black lives to matter in this country? You know, I mean, I understand why, but we have to have this conversation. But man, King died behind this, right? And
Yes.
here we are in 2020, still talking about Black Lives Matter. Why is that so hard for someone to understand? I don't get it. You know,
All I want to say is what I said on the show from Black Lives Matter, that for years and years and centuries, you had black code signs. You had signs that say blacks in the back, blacks can't drink water, blacks this. So don't tell me you get upset about Black Lives Matter signs, and because what we're saying profoundly is, hey, we do matter, and all that other stuff, oh, that's later. This is a new day. What you say about that, Dr. Veon?
Well, the issue of Black Lives Matter, Black lives still don't matter, even at this point. What we want to do is reach the point of where Black lives actually matter. And the issue, the core issue that started out with Black Lives Matter, where we look at, you know, police brutality, and then, you know, we can see that they operate as if Black people don't matter, you know, with the whole thing, the way we get killed by the police and the exploitation there. But it's not only there, as the brother said, for hundreds of years, we have been exploited in this country. And it's all, again, about economics. Let's don't forget that because we're here is economics. And so the issue that you're bringing up today is an economic issue. It's not really sports, it's about economics. And so what we need to do is change the way in which we're living, rather than focus on frivolous economics and not getting our share. We want to make sure that economics go to where it needs to go. The president just yesterday said that he is not going to give poor people a chance to see how other people live, that they're going to stay their ass in the ghetto where they belong. They'll never make it out. They'll never make it to the suburbs. That's what your president said. It's economics, brother.
Yes, I agree. It's economics, and sports is big economics. You know, across the board, it's big. It's a big part of our society and culture. And I go back to that. But more so just than economics, it's a psyche thing, because they want you to be all gun-ho about the Alabama Crimson Tide and spend your money and come to the game and so forth and be all crying about it, you know, when there's a whole lot of other things going on. But let me say, a 400-meter relay, a mile relay is one of the best events that you could go look at, or a good basketball game is one of the best events that you can look at. So I do understand the significance of both sides. I understand the psyche and how it makes you feel, and I understand. Hold on, Dr.Veon, let me finish talking. and I understand the psyche of how I finish, how it makes you feel, and I understand the economic side, but I also understand the Western culture consciousness of keeping Black kids in a exploited position. Okay, Veon, what you got to say?
So you want to continue the gladiator sport, and that's what we're doing. We're sitting down with, you know, the gladiators out there, and we pay them, and that's what we're doing. And now we make millions and billions of dollars off of watching the gladiators, rather than taking that money and focusing it on the inner city or just on people in general, just people's health. The money that's spent on professional sports, we could take that money and invest it in healthcare. Everybody could have free healthcare just from that money. So rather than doing any essential thing, especially at this time, we need to focus on the essentials. Those things, we got kids that we're going to try to push back in school because there's not enough funding out there to support their parents at home, to stay at home and take care of their kids. Let's take some money and do the things that we need to do, the essential things, rather than the things that we don't need to do that's actually going to put a bunch of money in a whole bunch of other people's pockets so they can continue.
I understand what you're saying, but I get back to this. I'm coming to you, Donnie. You're next. And this is the Sourceseeker Hour. We're talking sports. What would be the new state, the new way sports is? We have an example tonight with the NBA. We also have an example with baseball, and I'm not sure they're going to finish 2 weeks. I'm serious, because they just canceling games every day, seems like. But Donnie, I want to talk about this culture, psyche of sports thing, and how important it is to the culture. And what Veon is saying, yeah, there's people that would love to do that, but there's other people that like the way things are, and you're not going to just change it overnight. You must have a different way of looking at that. You're not going to just change it overnight. You can't just have our way. Donnie, what you say about the psyche?
I think it would be difficult to change it overnight, but well, let me go back to Mr. Veon's comments. I just wanted to say one thing about that. I can't really fault the sports league for the amount of revenues that they make and create, because it's, I mean, the sports, the three major sports in America is all about supply and demand. The only reason why those guys get paid what they do, the reason why the NFL is a $1 billion league, is because they have just that many people willing to pay to watch and take part in that. If the fans weren't paying for this, they wouldn't have all this revenue. Look at the WNBA. The WNBA doesn't make as much money because there's not as many people willing to see it. So to kind of say that they have all this money that they're not sharing, I can't really say that, because it's really the people who are putting their money into it to make it grow as it has, or whatnot.
I agree, and what you're dealing with life as it is, not as we wish it to be. We wish things would be a whole lot better in a whole lot better ways, but this is the system that we have now. Now, I think they're about to change some things with the Black Lives Matters movement in sports, and things are about to change. We're probably going to have more Black owners. We're going to have more Black GMs, and that's the way it should be. What do you say about that, Odis?
I think we need to the purpose behind that is how it all started with Cap, right? We need to stop these cops from killing innocent people of color on the street. Putting a Black owner in 3 or 4 of them, and that's not going to change anything. That's like a Band-Aid. That's, you know, all these people out here that's actually suffering is where we need to focus.
Let me say,
I could give a damn how many Blacks they put. They're only gonna let you so high in that business. I don't care who you are.
Okay.
As soon as Bill Cosby said he wanted to buy NBC, he's in jail right now, and he can't get out for COVID. So
I hear you. I still say,
you know,
you have a cultural industry, just as much as the fiber of America. Have either one of you all seen the movie Concussion?
No.
Nobody. Hey,
I don't
if
think
you
I've
like
seen it.
sports, you got to see that movie, because what they finally told that doctor is, hey,
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
National Football League has a day of the week. It used to be the churches, now it's the NFLs. And that's what he was going up against. So what you're talking about just changing, it can change. But I'll say this, Odis, Black owners can hire Black workers. Black owners can say, but it comes from the images that come across the screen also, and the role models. Some people say Barack Obama did nothing, but just him being there as president did a whole lot, because it made some young Black boy across the world say, hey, maybe I can be president also. Danny,
It gave people hope. It gave people hope. You know?
Go ahead.
Well, I just had a question. I guess I wanted to put to everybody on the panel here that just kind of popped into my head. Do any of you think that the Black Lives Matter movement and the changes that it has caused to become, if that doesn't happen, does Patrick Mahomes get the kind of deal that he has right now, where no NFL player has gotten a 10-year contract?
I'll say I don't think so. Patrick Mahomes' face, his face on that video that they did. Did anybody see the video? It was where he said Black Lives Matter in the video. All the NFL players, Black players, came out and did the video. What, a week after that, Roger Goodell said, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Did you see that? So, yes. And he also said, there is no NFL without Black players.
There's no NFL, there's no NBA, there's no track and field.
That's very true. So if we coalesce that economic power with the physical power, I mean, to a certain extent, we can run our own leagues. Now, it comes back to whether, we have the discipline and the wherewithal to handle that, which we do, but at the same time, their cultural biases have impacted us, and it'll take a while to work all those things out.
Carl, we had our own baseball league. We had our own baseball league. We had our own baseball league.
And it was successful, Odis. It was successful.
So why did they want to be in the major leagues when we had our own league? Why didn't they promote that and say, you know what, I'm going to stay in my own league?
And that is what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is they messed with our minds so much that we want to be in their league. Okay? They messed with our minds so much that we want to be a part of them.
It's not that we definitely want to be a part of them. We couldn't go to the better facilities, transportation, all of those things weren't available. So if you want to make the money, then you go to where the money is, because that's what you're doing it for, is money. So the money pulled you in. You weren't doing it so much for the love of the game, because if you were doing it for the love of the game, you would do it whether you got paid or not. They
made it hard for us to maneuver.
Hey, but what y'all got to put in all of this is the argument of reparations. Now, that's a whole other argument. But let me say this. When Budweiser started, let's say in 1865, Black people were still slaves. So we didn't have a chance to build up all of this equity over generations and generations so we could buy a Wrigley Field, so we could put the best product out there. So it's not as simple as that. And they were able to control our mind to make us want to be where they are.
Hold up.
Right.
We built this country. Now,
yes, we did.
Let's go back to Tulsa, right? We had a thriving community in Tulsa, right?
Yes.
They didn't want that fire to spread. So what they do? Destroy it. So every time we tried to build something, it got destroyed. So America has always had this foot on the neck of the advancement of colored people, right?
Yeah.
Because they were the carpenters, the electricians, the plumbers, the farmers. Hey,
So
that's why they were able to build that.
what I'm saying, Odis, is I'm going back to it. We could have had a successful Negro baseball league, a successful league of our own, but they mess with our mind to make us believe that we can't. And then they set us against one another and to tear ourselves up. And that goes back to the story of Tulsa.
That's a catch-22. Say, for instance, and this is just an example, you got the Black Baseball League thriving, right? They know that they have the World Championship of the Negro League getting ready to take place. So, but the bus is on the way to that city that they're going to play the game in, right? Who holds up the bus so the game can't be played?
The police.
Y'all are thinking, I'm going deeper than that. I'm sorry. I'm going deeper than that.
Go deep, dig deep.
Let me finish. Let me say something. What I'm saying is they had generations of opportunity and messing with our mind because if we had a free mind, that policeman wouldn't be stopping the bus. He would be escorting the bus.
Yeah, but if we had a free mind.
Okay. What I'm saying, if we had freedom to build our own enterprises without our mind being messed with, it would be a different culture. Just like they're saying Black Lives Matter now, you have white folks out there saying Black Lives Matter. So what I'm saying, if we had a different culture, that policeman would not be stopping the bus, he would be escorting the bus. But
I get where you
and what I'm saying is, that is the problem, our mind, what they have done to our mind, and that's why all of this resultant stuff have happened. But, you know, and the Bible says an enemy have done this. Adonnis, what you had to say?
See, I'm not so sure if they've messed with our mind to make us feel like that we have to be a part of theirs or not. Like maybe,
I understand where you're coming from.
Maybe in a way, but I'll give you an example. I played in the band at Sterling High School growing up, right? They had a UIL competition between the HISD schools. The best score you could have was a 3, right? It was mainly us, Worthing, Yates, all the inner city schools. Our band director, Mr. Woodson, he would always teach us show band and chorus style, which is predominantly amongst the white schools, right? We would get the best scores at the UIL competition between HISD, but when we would go to the statewide UIL, when it was predominantly white schools, we would just get no more than a 1 or a 2 score. And we always kind of felt like our award that we won for the HISD one, while it was good, we wanted to be able to prove ourselves at that higher level that was recognized by more masses.
Who was judging you at that level?
The state.
Who was on the board?
European.
Who was on the board?
At the time, I don't know. But in the case of baseball, I can see there being a situation where you have a Negro league, but the major leagues is more widely watched by the masses. So
what I'm saying, y'all saying what is, I'm going back to why it is like it is, and what if it had been different. If Black people had not been brought here as slaves and they had all of that particular time and structure to be able to mess with our minds, our psyche, and everything else, we'd have had so many aspiring entrepreneurs and so many thriving things where they be trying to get us to understand that white lives matter maybe, or everybody would be on a more even plane. But it is what it is. Go ahead, Odis. Go ahead.
Carl, when you have the history of slavery and you had a psychic, right? When you got someone raping men, women, children, grandmothers in front of you, Yeah, I'd be fucked up too.
Yeah, you would be.
I mean,
Yeah,
explain
and
that
I'd want
again,
to kill
Odis.
somebody.
Yeah.
You know, I understand that, but I never bought into I know what happened to us, and I don't live my life. So, oh man, I'm this and that. But why are we still talking about Black Lives Matter? Well, of course, our lives matter. Our
Yeah,
lives has always mattered,
we're
but
talking about Black Lives Matter
racism,
because
racism
of
is
its
our
impact
problem.
upon sports.
Well,
Systemic racism, not just racism.
systemic
It's
racism, yeah.
systemic racism, and it's all over. You know, because particularly, you know, you can go to any city and then see redlining. So you see the people, black people, poor people, live in an area where it's polluted, it floods, the schools are bad, all that stuff. It's all about systemic racism and maintaining their capitalist hold on the people. That's basically it. So again, when you're talking about these professional sports, you're talking about supporting a part of the systemic racism of what you're saying, the brainwashing that we've taken, where we think
Right.
it's really great. It's my team. That ain't your team. That's something that's been put out there that you can watch, and it influences your emotions, and you can kind of cathartic participate, you know, as if you were there. But it's not about you. And then the brother Adonnis was saying, you know, he really got to the cultural part of where he showed both sides of the culture. The African culture, when they got to express their true African culture, more than likely we wouldn't be marching in no band like that. We would be doing something else. And as Adonnis was saying, that when they did let their African culture come out, they were bad. And when they were in that arena, it was really recognized. But when you put it in that European arena, then they weren't. It didn't fly because it didn't fit in the culture. Because school itself was designed to acculturate you and put you in a mold so that you could do a job for this capitalist system. And we have to understand that we are particularly nothing but economic cogs. And it's how we're going to fit here and what we're going to do to get ourselves out of this. And you say, we can't stop it. The whole world stopped by COVID. The whole world changed all the production about COVID. So we can do it if we want to.
I agree. It can be done. There's a process though. And I think Black Lives Matter, the movement is going through a process. However, we want to talk about sports also. Sports is not just basketball. Sports is also baseball that's going on now. Football. I'm not sure whether they'll ever start. Hello, Veon. I'm not sure whether football ever start because, as you know, that's a high contact sport. And, you know, they're trying to work it out in so many ways. Go ahead, Donnie.
Well, I was just going to follow up what Mr. Veon was saying. I actually feel like the NBA has really taken strides to not be systemic in the way that Mr. Veon was talking about by allowing a lot of the players to kind of be their own brand and be able to sell themselves like they had, where you have a LeBron James, you have an icon like a Michael Jordan that's world renowned. Now in football, I feel like it's very, very different. I do feel like parts of football really are kind of systemic in a way, because it's a sport where you go out there. This is just something that I've always felt. I felt like if you, in most cases, if you have a job that's dangerous, you're usually compensated that way. If you're a deep sea diver that does welding underwater, it's dangerous. You're compensated. You're an elevator mechanic where your life is on the line like that, you're compensated. But for some reason in the NFL, out of all the three major sports, it's clearly the most dangerous, but it has the least guaranteed money. That's always kind of messed with me a bit, to where you can perform and they can at any time cut you and not pay you for the work you've already done, or just replace you with someone so easily.
It's not a mystery. It's money, and they don't want to be beholden to. You might have a knee injury in your third year. I mean, look at how Bo Jackson. He was the greatest athlete who ever came across, but he had that hip injury, and it was all over. So they don't want to be beholden to that, and so they cut you out as soon as possible and move on, unless you got such a character and so forth, like Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes. So there's no mystery with that at all. But sports is a part of the American psyche, and it's not just going to go away. Now, COVID is here, but as you see, they try to work around it. They try, and all of society, promoted by Trump, or a lot of society, promoted by Trump, is trying to work around COVID. Now, there are, of course, governors and different things that oppose that. But I think sports is going to be on, Odis. I think sports is going to be on.
God bless
It can't afford not to be.
Say again?
It can't afford not to be financially, economically.
I agree with that. And they're going to find a way to do it. Now, the NBA is on right now. That might be one of the new processes that they use. Are you all familiar with 3-on-3 Ice Cube basketball?
Yes.
Okay. Well, the whole squad goes from city to city, and they take every player with them, and then they have a set of games in that city. That's the model the NBA may go to because it's more controllable. It's more controllable. Now, that's not necessarily a fan-centered, that's not necessarily fan-centered, but that might be what because I believe some of these COVID changes are going to be here to stay. And the sports teams will, because of the economics, find a way around it. Nobody is finna get rid of sports, Veon. They're not finna get rid of it. They're going to find a way around it. Now, the question is, will they find a vaccine and go back to normal, or will we have to adjust just like it is? Maybe they'll start playing sports with masks on. Donnie.
So I agree with you. I don't think the three major sports are going away either. But my new question for you is, what is going to happen with college football? Now, they've said that these are student athletes. They shouldn't be paid. It's about the education. But can their program survive without their college football money? What are they going to do?
Odis, you want to try that one?
This system is set up around money. So without those fans coming out to those stands and filling those stands up, that's a large revenue stream. So unless this virus comes under control at some point in time, it's going to be a domino effect on this economy, especially sports, which you speak of in this podcast.
Yes. Guys, we've had a great show. We getting toward the end of it, but we're going to go a little bit longer so we can finish up. I need to ask this question. Out of all the three major sports, which one will complete the rest of their year? Donnie? Or will it be two?
I think the NBA for sure, because I think they've covered all their bases the best they can. If the NBA can't do it, I don't think the other leagues will really survive all that much. But I haven't seen the plan for the NFL. Baseball's already kind of shown their hand. It's empty stadiums, but in baseball, you don't know what those players are doing after they leave that stadium. For the Marlins to get so many people to get diagnosed with it like they have. So to me, the NBA is really the only ones who look like they're doing their due diligence. So I think they're gonna, if anyone survives the whole entire season, it will be the NBA.
Okay, sounds good. Donnie, Diversity Clothing, as we get close to finishing up, tell us where we can find and talk about some of the shirts, the sports shirts that you have. You don't have any with you, but tell us where we can talk to you and where we can buy some of those shirts.
So I have the website, diversityclothingco.com. And just remember, when you're putting in diversity, it's DIVERSCITY. So you can either say diversity or diverse city. And diversityclothingco.com. You can buy anything off the website. Most items do ship same day. And then I do pop-ups in the Heights on Saturday and Sunday. Saturday at Cavator's Italian Restaurant on Ella Boulevard, and Sunday at Onion Creek Cafe on White Oak.
So you're going out to businesses. How is that being as far as, everything going on?
So it's actually been pretty good. Now, obviously the bars are still shut down, but the places that people are still frequenting are bar and grills that have food and beverages. So like the event Sunday at Onion Creek, it's a grill. Everybody still likes to do the brunch scene on Sunday. So where you can have your mimosas and have your food at the same time. Everybody is still socially distanced. Everybody has to wear the mask, but it's a good time for everybody to kind of get out in the morning to afternoon. And the same thing on Saturday. So really what it is really farmers market. So in the Heights, it's a place where the residential areas can they can buy their shirts, they can get their fruits and vegetables, they can get healthcare products, tea, all kinds of things from local farmers and artisans. So that's really the new wave that's kind of happening now, where a lot of people aren't going to the big stores anymore. They're kind of doing the outside market type thing and shopping from local artisans.
Let me ask, do you still work with Minute Maid and the Astros? You still trying to work that out in this new situation?
So so what he's basically talking about, I would do a pop-up across the street from Minute Maid Park for most of the Astros games from the last 3 years. The place where I would be set up was a bar that would only be open on game days. So now that there's not any fans in the stands and it's considered a bar, I'm not sure how that ownership group is really faring right now. I would think they're probably struggling a little bit. So right now, I've just been doing the farmers markets until things probably get back to normal, because that just kind of has a little something for everyone. And it's only like 3 or 4 hours on the weekend. And it's actually been pretty good, where everybody can get everything all in one spot and just go home and try to stay there as much as possible while things are trying to get better.
All right, thank you, brother. Diversity Clothing's Adonnis Alexander, thank you. Thank you very much. We'll always be in touch. Diversity Clothing's Adonnis Alexander. Dr. Veon, give a final word about sports and tell people how to reach you.
Yes, sir. I think, we know the sports are going to continue, unfortunately, but we don't have to support it with our dollars. We can take our dollars and put it into going to garden or helping the kid down the street or doing some of the essential things that we need to do, like get your bike fixed at Tour de Hood compound at Third Ward Bikes, 2305 Wheeler, or check us out at Third Ward Tours. Both of them, all of them are on Facebook. So get out and do some exercise for yourself, because that's will help you improve your immune system and hopefully prevent you from getting COVID.
Thank you, brother. And that's Dr. Veon. Just put in Veon, and y'all will find him, and you can argue with him too. I argue with him all the time.
No argument, just a fact, just a fact.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Brother Odis, longtime friend since the 3rd grade. We played sports back in the day. At Law Elementary, we used to run out on the grass. I felt I had so many moves that nobody could stop me, but I always got tackled. But those were back in the days. I sure appreciate you sharing with us, Brother Odis. And if you would like to share with the people how they can reach you. Also, give a final statement on your perspective of sports.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say thanks for inviting me. This first podcast I've ever been on. I know you've spoke of it before and asked me to come on. And Doctor, I do agree with your philosophies as far as the gardening, the exercise, the biking and everything. That's right on. As far as sports are concerned, I was one of those athletes on the field. that people actually, you know, I ran the track and I played the football, I played the baseball. So I was on the other side of it as an athlete, not a fan. I was a fan on the other side also, but I'm hoping everything gets better. Keep doing what you're doing, my brother. You know, I watch you on Facebook and positive and right on, man.
Thank you, brother. Thank you very much. This
PV,
is
PV for life.
PV for life. I gotta say
PV for
TSU
life.
also. PV TSU. How about this? HBCUs for life.
HBCUs.
Yes. All right. Hey, this is the Sourceseeker Hour. Again, this is our 50th episode. Next week, a very deep subject: recovery and a higher power. We're gonna have several deep thinkers on the show. And after that, August 13th, we're gonna have conspiracy theories of COVID-19. So we got some deep things coming up on the Sourceseeker Hour. And if it's Thursday, 6 p.m., that is the Sourceseeker Hour, and we're gonna be back next week. We thank everybody for joining us. Those of you on Facebook, I'll come on in a second and I'll follow up on your comments. Thank you very much. This is the Sourceseeker Hour. We thank our guests, Brother Adonnis, Brother Odis, and Dr. V. See you next week on the Sourceseeker Hour. Thank you.
Good night.
All right, thank you.